Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about The Haunting Hour Alien Candy. Man, this episode was jacked up. I remember when I watched this years ago, I'm thinking to myself, is this meant for kids? You will not believe what goes on in this episode from the twisted mind that of R.L. Stein. I mean, The Haunting Hour, the first season, is still by far the best. It really brought on the creepy. And so I remember when I heard of this episode and I saw like the preview, I'm thinking to myself, Alien Candy, and I saw the preview, I'm just like, oh, okay, blah, blah, blah. Like, what that's about, you know what I'm saying? But I was so intrigued. I think I was in college when this came out. So, like, and because I grew up with Goosebumps, I'm sticking with R.L. Stein. I don't care how old I'm getting, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, you know, it starts off with this boy named Walt and Tim. They're in the cafeteria and they're talking about sci-fi stuff. They're really into that and aliens. Walt is reading a book about aliens. Tim is talking about, do you think this stuff will wash out your hair? Because for Halloween, he normally has red hair, but he dyed it to be dark brown to be kind of like Han Solo. And so, like, he's hoping that, it'll wash out and this other stuff. And they're talking about, like, aliens. No. So, like, the bully, he has a bully that has red hair, and he's, like, picking on him and stuff. And so, like, I think he grabs his book, and it's about aliens. So it catches the attention of these two other kids, a boy and a girl. And so, like, the bully is, like, really laying into him. Oh, by the way, the dude who plays Walt, he is from the Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I think that's supposed to have a sequel coming up, but it's supposed to be animation because, the cast got a little bit too older. They waited too long to have a sequel. So anyway, so he's trying to tug back and forth with the bully with his book. He falls into like a tray of chicken nuggets of the lunch lady. She's pissed, and both boys now have detention after school. This makes the bully like really pissed off because he's gonna miss football practice because of this. So later on, the girl and boy, they meet up with Walt and they give him back his book and they're very intrigued. They want to know how much he believes in aliens and stuff. So then when he tells them some things, they want him to join a very special club. And so, like, he thinks they're messing with him because, why would these kids looking the way they do be in the sci-fi stuff? But they assure him that they are. And so to prove it, they take him to like the basement of the school. And they show him a strange glowing blue ball. And so they talking about his biometrics. So he's believing that, yeah, they got some cool alien tech. How did they get it? The girl said her dad works for like some secret organization. And so she got her hands on that and all this other stuff. Oh, my bad. Oh, all this change of weather, you know what I'm saying? Got my throat sore. Anyway. So then, like, they tell him in order to join the club, you have to eat these special supplements. They look like light blue, grayish jelly beans. And he even thinks they're jelly beans. And they're all like, oh, these are supplements. And they're supposed to help, like, transmit your brain waves telepathically and blah, 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 alien stuff. So he's like, okay, cool, whatever. And they tell him plain and simple, do not tell nobody. And then, so when he leaves, this is when the freaky stuff starts happening. The boy is all like, do we think we found the right person? And the girl thinks she has. And the girl eyes turn pitch black and stuff. So it's kind of like, okay, what's going on here? It's like, okay, wait, this episode's about aliens, and we just saw the candy. They must be aliens and stuff, but what do they look like in their alien form? See, that's the question. So then he's home and he's eating the supplements, and it makes his mouth very dry the way he gets constantly thirsty. His friend Tim is constantly calling him, but he's not answering. So Tim just shows up. And so he's all like, dude, why aren't you answering your phone to me? And avoiding me and stuff. So Walt decides, all right, I'm going to break the rule. And he tells Tim about the secret club. And so Tim's like, well, I want to join. They're like, well, you can't because they only pick me and stuff like that. So then he's all like, but maybe they'll let you since you like sci-fi stuff too. Boy, next day, they pissed. They're like, how could you tell somebody? This is supposed to be a secret. And so he's all like, but he's cool. He's down with the sci-fi alien stuff. And they all like playing video games or playing with aliens and then watching sci-fi or alien movies. Not the same thing. We thought you were special. So they're furious at him and want nothing to do with him no more. And so like, when he goes home that night, he's so exhausted and tired because he's been feeling dizzy lately and stuff, and he doesn't know why. So when he goes to sleep, he doesn't even take off his clothes and his PJs. He still has his school clothes on from the day. So he's asleep. He wakes up, and there is the girl from the school. She's hovering over him. The lighting in the room has now turned green. And so like, and he's all like, what are you doing in my room? It's late at night. I love how so direct he is. And so like, the girl and the guy talking about like, they just can't wait and all this other stuff. And he's all like, what are you talking about? And then so like, the creepiest, freakiest stuff happens. Mind you, this is a kid's show. A horror kid show. The boy pulls out the blue glowing ball. Walt is paralyzed now. Those supplements did something to him that reacts with the blue ball. So then they start getting out like a needle and syringe, and they take a sample of his blood from his foot. And then they put it in some kind of like solution, and they see that the toxin has been eliminated from his body and he's ready for consumption. Yeah, they're gonna eat him. This is a kid's show. Oh, but it gets freakier. It gets freakier. So then the girl and boy transform off screen. You just see their shadow. They turn into these big-headed green aliens. My props to the people that made the costume. This is what I'm talking about. I am sick and tired of watching TV shows and movies that have to do with either mutated animal type stuff or aliens or monsters, and it's all CGI. I'm sick of it. I miss practical stuff like the MCU. Pretty much everybody's costume, like every single last Spider-Man costume in the MCU is CGI. There's a practical suit that he wears, like the red and blue and the red and the black. There's a practical suit, but you never see it on screen. Now he's wearing it when he's being filmed, but they CGI the entire suit. Nobody knows why. And when it comes to the armored suit, he's wearing one of those like CGI suits with the balls and stuff. After a while, they started doing that with all the Iron Man suits. They were just all CGI. And sometimes they look good and sometimes they look fake. And I miss practical stuff. The first Iron Man suit was practical, but it was really heavy. And, Robert Downey Jr. is old now, so, So anyway, yes, the alien suits look great. So then they slowly open their mouths and they reach over it, and all you see is Walt's foot. And they chomp it. And then they chewing on it. And you see the way they chewing, the way their mouth move is freaky. And I'm just like, ugh. I'm like, they showing this on a kid's show? What the world? Like, how did they get away with that? But then all of a sudden, the one that's chewing gets sick. And they don't understand why until they see a picture of him. And they notice that he actually has red hair. They didn't know that at first because he dyed it brown. So they said they are allergic to redheads and stuff. So then they get pissed and they start going towards him. He can see everything. Like, he's still awake, but he's still paralyzed. And then he wakes up the next morning and he's just like delirious. He looks at the time. He is beyond late for school. So he rushes to school wearing the same clothes he had on the other day at school. He is stanky. So then he's like, at his locker and stuff like that. and he's just not feeling too great. And then we see the girl and guy spying on him. And then so he leaves after that, and they're all like, "We need to." And the boy's like, "We need to terminate him." And she's like, "No." He probably won't. Everything will blow over. Nobody's gonna believe him, and all this other stuff. Nobody ever believes the kids and stuff. And so next thing you know, he's in the locker room, and that bully boy with the red hair, he's talking about, "I'm missing football practice because of you." Oh, he missing it because he messed with that boy. I mean, I don't understand bullies, man. Like, they pick on people, then they get in trouble. Then they get mad more at the bully for getting in trouble. Like, who do they think they are? And so, like, Walt, his foot hurts, so he takes his shoe and sock off. More freakiness! His toe is missing from when the alien chewed it off. So now he knows this wasn't a dream. And it's for real. He's hollering and he's screaming. And the bully's all like, "Ew, man, we got like 4 toes and stuff." So then, the girl and guy comes in the locker room, and they all like, "Sorry about last night and everything, but you can see our saliva. It has regenerative properties." So I guess these aliens, I guess they only eat feet or toes or whatever, but then the toes grow back, and that's why people never believe them. So they don't eat the whole body. So that's kind of weird. So it's a little vague on that. And so, like, she tells him as she's tying his shoe for him, it'll be good in your best interest not to tell nobody, because if you do, that will be a problem. And then she tightens his shoe tighter as these razor sharp teeth emerge from her mouth. He's freaked. He takes off running. Now, here's the thing. If you're missing toes, no matter how many toes you're missing, if you're missing toes, from what I've learned, it's hard to walk. It's hard to stand up, and it's definitely hard to run because your foot is now unbalanced because of the weight of your body and height. How do I know this? I was watching Inside Edition, and a man was in his yard, and his cat showed up, came out like the bushes in the woods and stuff, and his cat was kind of like it was acting weird, and it bit him on the foot. The man's own cat. Turns out something crazy happened. This cat originally, when the cat showed up, it had like a rat in its mouth, right? So yeah, the cat was carrying a rat in its mouth, and so then it bites the man. Turns out that rat had the Black Plague in it. The Black Plague has been eliminated for like centuries. This is back in like medieval days. And so it passed it on to the cat, and it went into the man's foot. And then so like, next thing you know, the man's foot starts turning like all decayed and stuff like that. So they had to amputate his toes. I forgot how many. Probably 3 at the most. And so he had to learn how to re-walk and how to stand up because, like I said, the unbalanced. So there's no way this boy should have been able to run. But hey, it's a kid's hard thing, so I can let that slide. So anyway, he's running in hard. But then all of a sudden, somebody grabs him, puts a blanket over him, and throws him into the garbage dumpster. It's the 2 bullies from the beginning of the episode. They're pissed at him. They put like a wire on the trash dumpster, and then they start banging on it. And they leave him there. If trash were to pick this up, the boy would be inside the trash truck thing, the garbage truck. And being inside a garbage truck is not good because it's nearly impossible to escape. It's so impossible that you can literally die just trying to escape it. Like, it's very rare for a person to like escape it. There is a way, but it's, like I said, it's very rare. And so he frees himself. He's freaked out. He calls his friend Tim. He doesn't call 911. He calls Tim. Tim's all like, "Oh, I can't talk right now. I'm busy." So then he gets a worried look on his face. He's like, "Where are you?" Now, while he was in the trash, we saw the boy and the girl talk to Tim, talking about, "We think you'll be great for our club." So they figured they had the wrong one. They think he's the right one. So all of a sudden, Walt, he grabs the axe from like the fire extinguisher where it'd be like that, And he's running through school because like it's in the afternoon now or night or something like that. And he's running through school, looking through every door, trying to look for like Walt, not Walt, but look for Tim. This is a kid's show, mind you. This boy just running around with an axe. He knows where Tim's gonna be. So he goes back down in the basement, and we see the aliens hovering over Tim. They haven't eaten his feet yet. He screams and he lunges at them, but he hits like the pipe above, and like the mist gas stuff goes everywhere. He grabs Tim and they take off running. And then the aliens, they're in pursuit. So they run into the cafeteria and they turn the lights off and they try to hide. But here comes the aliens. And they're so short, by the way. But they're creepy with their big heads and razor sharp teeth. And so they get on top of like the tables and they're looking desperately for the boys. And so the boys, they just start throwing things at the aliens. And they're like, oh man, we're dead. But then one of them throws like a thing of salt at it. And the salt started to melt the skin of the alien. So then he realized they must have skin similar to that of a slug. So they get as much salt as they can. They just start chugging it at like the aliens and stuff. It evaporates and disintegrates their skin. And then they fall into like a giant mixing bowl thing. And then so they hear a noise and they run. It's the lunch lady. She's there to make her so-called homemade chicken nuggets that are already prepared. She just has to add the seasoning to it. And so the stuff, the aliens didn't fall in the mixing thing. They fell on like a container. She shoves like the stuff around. Like when she puts the chicken nuggets on the shelf and she's pushing it, it knocks over the alien goop into like the chicken nuggets and then into the giant mixing bowl thing, because their skin now looks like jello. It just looks like cut up jello now because of the salt. And so she starts just grinding the alien body parts in with the chicken nuggets and stuff, and the boys are like, ew. And then so the next day at school, they're in the lunch cafeteria and they're talking about like, man, we should tell somebody like this. He's like, who, NASA? He's like, I don't know, maybe the president and stuff. He's like, but nobody will believe us. And then the red-headed bully, he's eating the chicken nuggets. And he's all like, man, I don't know what it is, but these chicken nuggets just taste so good today. They're more flavorful. And then so Tim and Walt, they look at each other, they're like, you don't think. And then Walt picks up a chicken nugget and it has a finger of the alien on it, and they just scream. This is a kid's show once again, and they did all this. Oh boy, I can't believe it. It's one of the freakiest episodes I have just ever seen, just in general. Like, they went all out for this episode to creep people out, and it creeped people out too. There's some adults who review this, they still can't believe what they watched. Now wasn't that spooky? Alright, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.